Hey, this is Jack Russell from Jack Russell's Great White, and you're listening to the Rock Brigade.
Hey, welcome to episode 2 of the Rock Brigade. And I don't know where the hell Jeb's at. He should be here right now. But last thing I know, he had a picture of a really hot guitar player and he was running to the bathroom. Hey, it's Jeb. Jeb Wright,
hold on.
everybody.
We haven't started yet.
Hey,
I'm back.
hey, take a bow.
Thank you.
Yes, we have. We're on. Hey,
You mean we've started? I'm late?
You're late.
Man, I'm sorry.
At least she didn't say that.
I was doing some research. I was doing some research for the show.
I hope you washed your hands.
You didn't tell them, did you? But
What?
That I was doing research.
Yes, I did. I let everybody know.
Oh, well,
All 6 million listeners out there.
it's always best to be prepared. I'm not sure what James told you, but I can probably tell you that it's not true.
Yeah.
It might be true, but it's not true. Anyway, did you tell them that we're recording at what's our studio called? TRB. TRB Studios somewhere in Kansas. We're coming to you live, kind of. Via tape.
Yes. Via podcast.
Man, we had such a good time on our first podcast, and we've had a good reception so far. We've got show number 2. We hope you enjoy it just as much, man.
Make sure you guys keep giving us feedback, what you want to know, what you want to hear, how we're doing. Keep it coming.
One thing we'd like you to think about is if we got some of the labels to give us some product, we've thought about giving it away, some new releases or something. So that's something we're really thinking maybe we could get for you guys to entice you to join and stay a member of the Rock Brigade.
Yes.
Now, when we say join the Rock Brigade, it's nothing you have to really join. It doesn't cost money or anything. Just go to Facebook.
Yeah, just go to Facebook and join.
Search the Rock Brigade.
But we won't turn down money if you want to send it.
That's true. James hasn't turned down anything ever on anything.
Heck no.
Well, we're here for episode 2, and it's an exciting show. We have 2 guests this time, and we're trying out a new segment.
Yeah.
The first guest coming up any minute now is a keyboardist for the band STYX. His name is Larry. I done it all this.
I was waiting.
Is Lawrence Gowan. And if he hears this, okay, Lawrence, maybe we were making fun and calling you Larry Gowan, and I don't know. Something about an auto body store or used car lot. I'm not sure. Larry Gowan's used cars.
Yeah.
But Lawrence actually has been the keyboard player in STYX for, what did he say?
18 years.
What's it been? 18 years?
Yeah,
Something?
18.
Longer than, I wonder if that's longer than DeYoung was there. Probably is, A great talent and a great guy, and I think you're going to enjoy the interview. We're going to talk just basically STYX, some of his career. He had a huge solo career, and he's kind of like that kid in 7th grade that never has a girlfriend, and he comes back from summer, and he's like, well, I have a girlfriend. She lives in Canada.
Sounds like you're talking about Jeb Wright.
Yeah, I did that. She lives in Canada.
Yes.
But Larry, or Lawrence, he actually does live. Well, I don't know if he lives there now. He did live in Canada. But STYX is on the road as usual, and he's agreed to call us from the sunny state of California while they're on tour and fill us in with everything going on there. And then we have another guest that I'm very excited to talk to. She happens to be a heck of a guitar player.
Yes.
Tell us who.
Let's see. It's Nita Strauss. She's with Alice Cooper right now.
Yeah, and she is an amazing guitar player. We're going to talk to her about a new album called She Rocks, Volume 1, which is out on Steve Vai's label called Favored Nation, and it's like a compilation of all these different female guitarists who are way better at guitar than I've ever thought of being. So it's a neat album, and one you guys really should check it out. But they're coming up on the show, and then we're going to play a game. Should we just let them wait? We can't give away the farm.
No. You'll just have to stay tuned and find out.
Yeah, in between interviews, James and I are going to, we're going to do a new segment and hope you like it. So I guess, hell, what are we waiting for, man? Where's Lawrence?
I don't know. Waiting on him to call.
Let's get a hold of him, man. Let's wait. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, all the way from STYX land, it's Lawrence, not Larry Gowan. This is Jeb and James. Can we help you?
Hello, Jeb.
Hey, what's going on, man?
Lawrence Gowan from the STYX rock band in Sales Emporium.
Hey. That's great, man. We're in the market for this very thing.
Excellent. We have plenty of trinkets.
Every shape and size.
And also an epic rock show to go along with it. So it's really worth your checking it out.
So check out the trinkets and stay for the rock show.
Yes, definitely.
Hey man, it's been a while since we've caught up with each other. So
yeah, how long? How long now?
I bet I haven't talked to you. I'm thinking we didn't do anything with the current Blu-ray. I bet it was the Pieces of Eight Grand Illusion
God.
tour. It's
really?
been.
Well, I saw your name on here, Jeff, and I figured, it's been about a year. Are you saying it's been like 6 years, 5 years?
I bet we're probably somewhere in between there.
Wow.
Jeb's a good name to have, though. So you guys have a hard time forgetting it. The only thing it kind of screwed me up when Jeb Bush got popular there for a while because I had competition.
Yeah. How many Jebs can you have in your life?
That's it, man. My wife says one too many. That's what she said. I do want to chat though, man, because there's some cool stuff going on. One thing that we do, Classic Rock Revisited is now also doing a podcast called the Rock Brigade. And we kind of feature everything together because as we build everything, we're kind of like two companies together. And I've got my co-host, James Rozell, here. And so he may chime in, he may not. He's kind of shy, but we keep him around here, because he's got a lot of money.
Hey, Lawrence, what's up, man?
Very well, James, and chime in anytime.
All right, thanks, man.
Before we start, I got to ask a question from the deep, dark Canadian past of your life, because it's something I didn't know till I was just kind of doing a little catching up.
Yeah, okay.
Do you know Gil Moore?
I do.
Gil's a good friend of mine, man. I saw that you recorded an album at Metalworks, man.
Oh yeah, I've done more than one actually. There's two. Well, let's see now. We did a good chunk of Lost Brotherhood was done at Metalworks. A good chunk of that record, and there was a little bit from. Let me think now. There was a little bit of what we worked on for the Greatest Hits album because we added a couple of tracks. We did a little bit of Metalworks there. And then I went back there when we did Return of the Strange Animal in 2010, and we did some video stuff there as well. Yeah,
that's cool, man. Yeah, what a small world.
Yeah.
And what's it? Yeah. I love that place. I love Gil too. I think he's a class act.
I've known Gil since about 1970, probably 1979, around there. First time we met.
So he was just getting going in Triumph then, man. I mean, they were around, but they were just starting to hit. That's kind of like in the Just a Game era.
Yeah, that's when I first met him, and then to that, and we met lots of times in the '80s, and then I wound up recording there because he's got he had this world-class studio that so many people were coming to.
Yeah, no kidding.
Great place, yeah.
And then is that where did you work with Alex there too? Because I know they're good buddies.
So Alex Lifeson played on the entire Lost Brotherhood album, Gallon album, and all of his parts were done at the Metalworks, which is Gil's studio. Yeah.
Yeah, Alex is like I said, we'll jump into STYX here, but you kind of got into my Canadian rock history there as I was reading up on it, and Alex. Yeah, you said which Alex? I was like the Alex. The
Alex. It's usually the Alex, but when you know Gil and you know the studio, there was a studio manager named Alex there as well.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, the Alex Supremo.
And now the other one from your past that threw me, because I had to look this one up on YouTube, is I had no idea, even though we'd done interviews and I'd listened to some of your old music and before in my life, I had totally blown off, forgot, or just not realized that you worked with John Anderson.
Yes, John Anderson. Not only did we did a song together called Moonlight Desires, which was the #1 song in Canada, and it was also it was during the recording of Great Dirty World in Los Angeles that I met John through the producer of that record, David Tickle, and John. He liked Strange Animal. He'd heard some of Strange Animal and liked it, and then when he heard Moonlight Desires, he really liked the melody, and we asked him to come in the studio and basically instead of a guitar solo, just have him do some John Anderson, as only he can do, riffing over an instrumental section of the song, and that's what he added to it, and then a few months later, he and I did a video for that song at the Mayan pyramids in Teotihuacan, Mexico, which is just outside Mexico City. So we have it, you know, it's been recorded for posterity, and he's on film there, kind of doing the Aztec or Toltec god on the pyramid of the sun while I'm on the pyramid of the moon. This all sounds really pretty esoteric and definitely right out of the John Anderson world of otherworldly things.
Indeed.
That fits beautifully. So if people want to YouTube that, Moonlight Desires, they'll see myself and John Anderson singing that song. And
actually,
kind of great that we're both still singing to this day.
That's true, man. And actually, the video is shot I know the video. It's shot extremely well. The ruins look amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
And I thought I had a mullet though back in that day, man.
I had the Uber mullet. It was like the prototype mullet, I think it was. You know, by a standard by which all mullets were measured.
No, I mean, seriously, though, and this will be our segue, and we're going to skip from the beginning right up to modern day to talk about what you're doing now.
Sure.
You did have it, and some people in America, it's the same thing that a lot of bands, everyone from Coney Hatch to some degree, even the big guys like Triumph, where the crossover to America was difficult. Of course, the guys like Triumph got further than most, and then Rush, of course, broke the wall completely away. But there were a lot of great bands in Canada that did very well in their homeland that didn't do very well here, but you were having #1 records there. Was it hard at all for you to leave that to join STYX?
Well, you know, it was a mixed emotions. There was some bittersweetness to it because it was a frustration for me in my solo days that I couldn't get the records released in the United States, and when I explained it to people now, it's very boring, music industry centric, so to speak. The way that the record industry was functioned back then was the big four labels really controlled the market of what records got into what countries and at what time. You know, so there was a lot of cross-Atlantic trade that went on between the UK and America. But you could come across, you know, huge artists in Germany that people in America had never heard, and then later on it got even to the point where even the UK artists, like I remember seeing, you know, Paul Weller and the Jam. Yep. I would go to England, I'd see them at Wembley Stadium, and in America they were in the import section of the record store. They might have one or two records, and nobody's heard of them, and so it really the world was very divided up when the big labels had that. As soon as the internet came in, as we know, everything changed entirely, and those barriers were removed. But your question, Jeb, was when I joined STYX. Well, yes, there was definitely this. First of all, I felt very honored to be asked, you know, to come and see if this would work. But part of my decision to do so was that I had 18 years as a solo artist in Canada, and I felt like, you know, I'd been in the United States and played a little bit. I did a tour with Tears for Fears where I opened for them.
Oh, that's cool.
And I had little bits of success. In Cleveland, for example, there's a radio station called WMMS that played one of my songs, A Criminal Mind, and it actually got in the top 20, even though it was still an import. And to the degree where I went and opened for Foreigner on the Foreigner 4 tour at the Richfield Coliseum. So there were little pockets of success, even though, but the frustration was there. Then when STYX, on my first meeting with them, when they said, look, we'd like you to be part of the band, and Tommy asked me to play A Criminal Mind, and he said, well, let's make that a STYX song. Well, I felt immediately like, look, this band is really embracing my past as well as what I can bring to it today. So there was this feeling of like, you know, this will be my chance really to connect with America, even though it's not in the manner that I had originally intended. At the same time, who would turn away from this legendary band, you know, who's asking you to join, and you're happy to jump aboard, and I'm really glad that I did. Here we are 18 years later, and now my career's split right down the middle of the 18 years.
Hey, that's right.
Years solo, so.
Man, I can't believe it's been 18 years. Holy crap.
Yeah, I know.
Wow. Now let's jump up to what you're doing now. I mean, we kind of covered some highlights there, but you guys are on the road as always. You're always on the road, man. But
we always played. We never played less than 100 shows a year since I've been in the band.
Dan, that is keeping you busy.
Well, they're playing in our backyard here in a couple weeks.
That's true, man. You're going to be around here in a couple weeks.
Great.
And we've done many interviews. I've never met you face to face, so I'm gonna probably just show up early and kind of stalk the bus or something.
We'll figure out something for that, Jeff.
Man, I'd love to actually. It'd be a real honor. What you got though with this Las Vegas deal you did with the Blu-ray?
Yeah.
You've had plenty of live albums, which I think you're smart to market to the hardcore STYX guys because, like anybody that likes me, I'm a STYX fan. I guess a casual fan might think, well, I want the one with the biggest songs I know. Others, maybe the biggest album because that was a really good one. But you guys got a lot of people. You're one of those live bands where you have fans that go, I want to buy one a week. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
And it's cool what you're doing, but you did two things on this one that I really, as a STYX fan, enjoyed. One is, I don't know how you shot that thing. It looks visually almost, this is going to sound weird for people who haven't seen it because it isn't 3D. I just don't know the right word. It's just cool looking.
I think it's shot in 4K, which is Ultra 4K, I think it's called, which has now become kind of the standard. And that's, it's really strong. The look of the whole thing is tremendous. And the reason we've done so many live records, just to jump in there, Jeb, is that because we play so much, it's a way for us to document where we are and how the band has evolved as a live living entity, and this particular DVD, we thought, okay, not only should we show the show itself, but what it takes to put on this show and how we can mount this over 100 times a year. And to our pleasant surprise, people have been really responded well to that sort of behind the scenes visit with people who are to us are part of the band, who are the crew people that make it all happen.
I was going to say there were two things, and that was my second thing. It was like that documentary of putting on a STYX tour and a STYX show. And I forgive me for forgetting her name, but she's kind of like one of the head technical people. She was really cool.
Her name is Libby Gray.
That's her.
Libby's very featured in there. She's a tremendous lighting director for us, and she has been with us for well over a decade, probably more like closer to 15 years now. And Libby understands every aspect of what it takes to mount this show every day. And remember, we don't play on a it's not the identical stage for every single show throughout the year, because we play everything from hockey arenas to football stadiums to small theaters to casinos to county fairs. So the show has to morph itself and sort of transform itself on a daily basis, but still maintain the same quality. And Libby gives great insights into how that's achievable.
That was one of the things I'm getting at is, even though a casual fan may think, well, I have the last STYX tour, they don't really have everything, man, because it's really cool. It really is. The documentary, I've watched it I might have watched it a couple times, more than the concert, maybe, but it's really fascinating.
No, plus, I would too. The concert is the end result. It's the end result, but it's like watching these great chef type shows. The food, the ultimate thing that they're making, that's the final outcome. But really, all of the effort and the artistry behind the scenes to in order to make that become a reality is just as entertaining.
It is, man. Now, there is another thing going on in this year. I don't know if you guys are going to do anything special for it or not, but this is the big 4-0 for Grand Illusion.
It is. It is. I hope what happens. I don't know that it will, so don't. Well, of course, you're going to quote me on everything, but I'm just going to say that it would be my hope that we would get a chance somewhere this year to play the entire record, top to bottom.
Me too.
Oh, wait a minute. Is it Grand Illusion or is it Paradise Theater that's its 40th? Oh, no, it's Paradise Theater, I think.
Oh, hell. It's that anniversary, too. That's 35 of that. It was 81.
It's 35. Yeah, it's 35. Oh, you're giving me ideas now. Maybe there should be a show with both albums back to back.
Or 36. It's 35 or 36. Hell, I can't. When did that come out? 81 or 82?
I think 81.
So it's 36 years of that, technically.
We really should brush up on our history before we start gabbing about this stuff, shouldn't we?
That's true. Hey, we were within a year, though, and when you're talking 40 years, that's not too bad.
That's not too bad at all.
You know what, though?
Let that one go.
You gave me an idea, though, man. I mean, really, that would be a pretty cool, if you ever do decide to go with that album format, Paradise would be kind of a cool one, man.
I think that would be a great one to do. I really, of all the live, endeavors we've undertaken, when we did the Grand Illusion Pieces of 8 album back to back from top to bottom, both records, that DVD and that tour, I think, really stands out as that was our biggest challenge at that point, was to get that right and get all of the screen content, during the shows, to get all that together and really be able to do 2 back-to-back albums in their exact order and still make it work as a rock show. It was really, I think we really hit a whole new level when we did that. And so anyway, I hope people check that one out as well.
Do you jump in there? Because one of the things on the documentary, which is really cool, is the way that you guys really work hard with the video guys.
Yeah.
Are you involved in that? I mean, is that mainly Tommy and JY, or do you guys all pitch in?
A friend of JY's is a man named Steve Jones, and he is a filmmaker, has been for a long time. And we make, really everyone makes suggestions and comments once the content is done, but suggestions along the way. And ultimately we leave it to Steve, and he intimately knows the band and knows kind of what we're after, and is able to pull stuff together. And when we rehearse the stuff, it becomes quickly obvious, what's really working and what isn't. And so at the last minute, he'll make edits and changes to the screen content.
That's cool, man. It probably does make you guys work harder too, because if some of that's timing wise, you can't be off.
No, you can't. On that tour, it was particularly important. But some of the funny enough, some of the transitions during the songs, they were able to cue up.
Oh,
all very, very technical stuff, so that if we were a little bit faster on that night, they could jump to that next important cue right on beat.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. Now, are there any times that you ever want to? I wanted to ask you something about the Grand Illusion, because that was 77. The reason I know that was it was 7/7/77. That's when they released
correct.
it.
That is correct. Yes.
I remember, James, you remember buying that album.
Yes, I do.
Where'd you say you bought it?
I bought mine at Woolworths.
That's right, at Woolworths.
Yeah.
I remember hearing it for the first time at a friend of my sister's basement. So I had to ask you, man, do you remember hearing that album the first time?
I was inspired to shoplift it, I remember. I do remember hearing it. There's a great record chain in Canada called Sam the Record Man. And I remember hearing, first of all, what really stuck out to me about STYX was, because I was so deep into listening to Yes and Genesis and Emerson, Lake and Palmer and Jethro Tull, the big,
heck yeah,
the big UK progressive rock bands that were such a, at the epicenter of that whole movement in music. And when I heard Grand Illusion, I remember in the record store, my ears immediately jumped. And I was like, "Oh, who's this?" And I was thinking, is this Gentle Giant, or is this one of those other? And then when I realized, oh, this is STYX, what really impressed me was, here's a band that's not from the UK, that's strongly, using progressive rock elements in their music, and it's really working, and it still has all of the balls of rock music, but has some of the adventuresome spirit of progressive rock, and it really grabbed me. I remember, hearing it at the time and really thinking, this is great. The middle of Come Sail Away and parts of Fooling You. I remember listening to the whole record top to bottom in the store, because that's what they used to do, is play the entire album. And yeah, just how impressed I was with the whole thing.
So was it an 8-track you ripped off, or was it the LP? I was thinking an LP would be rough, man.
It was. So you said it was 7/7/77. Yeah, I had my special winter coat that I wore all summer long in Toronto. It had those extra panels built in.
That's funny. Well, man, fill me in. Before we head out, just tell me what's going on with STYX. I'm going to ask because I'm a fan, and the fans always like to be disappointed when we ask this question. Is there new music coming?
That's the question that we're constantly asking. And, I now have a blanket answer for this. First of all, there's always new music. People don't quite understand that as you reference that behind the scenes footage from the live at the Orleans Arena, we always have new things that we're working on, cobbling together, playing in sound checks, recording a little bit, but we just haven't yet to hit upon the exact moment when we go, okay, let's call this into an album and let's focus on promoting this album, because there's this insatiable demand to see the band around the world, and as the music industry has changed so dramatically, we don't want to let those opportunities go by so that we can take 6 months or a year off just to work on new music when the band has such a canon of great stuff already. But the stuff does exist. There's nothing imminent, but it could happen. I always say it could happen sooner than later that some of this new material emerges.
Well, that's cool, because there are, just as you said, as the industry's changed, there are some guys that are starting to embrace maybe even the free song now and then, or the download that's associated with a charity or whatever. There are ways to get it out. Yes.
We have done a few of those things, but really, it's an album band, and we'd like to release an album, even though that goes against a lot of what's happening right now for bands. But for bands of this era, the album is always going to be, it's a great artistic statement, when you make a full statement where you can listen to something beginning to end. And as I say, nothing imminent, but it may surprise people that it could be sooner than later that something emerges.
And in the meantime, you'll be doing 100 dates this year.
And that's ongoing. That's ongoing. That's an absolute necessity for us to maintain. And that's basically, it's the only thing you can't download is a great live rock show. You can look at clips, but it's not the same as being in the arena. And the energy exchange just between us and the audience on any night. I mean, we just played Reno last night. The same thing again. It's an amazing, unique experience that really lifts people and lifts us as well. And to end your day with a few thousand faces with big smiles on them looking back at you is not something to let pass by.
No kidding, man. Well, I appreciate your time, but one thing we do on the Rock Brigade that makes us different than everyone else is we have some segments, and we always invite the artist to do one.
Okay.
And we've got this thing called Big or Small. Would you be
Big or Small?
Would you be interested in playing a couple rounds?
Let's see what Big or Small is all about. Sure.
What we got is my buddy James here. He's got 2 dice in a little container, and I've got the number of the dice comes up. There's a corresponding question. None of them are too bad, but some of them might be. Yeah, and they're really not. They're just generic kind of questions, but they do deal with the subject of either big or small, but also music. James, give us a roll.
7.
We got a 7. Oh, I put letters down here. 3, 4. I did. I'm a dumbass too, Lawrence. Oh, this is kind of a cool one. Oh God.
Okay.
What's the biggest rock star fit you've ever thrown?
Biggest rock star fit I've ever thrown. Oh my God. I used to throw quite a number of. I threw more of them before I ever had any success. I do remember. Oh, this is a horrible story, but I do remember this. There was a night we were playing. There's a famous club in Toronto called Gasworks.
Oh hell yeah! And the Wayne's World plays
there. Yeah, exactly. Wayne's World kind of immortalized it, but I mean, Rush played there and Triumph, and just about everyone's played there. Well, we used to play the Gasworks, and one night. The Gasworks had a very mixed crowd. An extremely enthusiastic rock crowd was there, and then there was a small segment of people who were selling illicit things, right?
Those trinkets. Yeah.
Back in the back corners, there were deals going on that really were, beyond the law. So you'd kind of ignore that area, but meanwhile play to the other 200 or 300 people that were there to rock. Well, one night I noticed that this brown flash went right before my eyes, and then I realized, okay, that was a beer bottle, and that had been tossed at the stage. And apparently, I guess we were too loud or too disruptive or whatever it was. But I realized, okay, that somebody threw this beer bottle. We stopped playing, and I threw one of my biggest kind of like bluffing, kind of blusterous fits right there on stage.
Oh, no.
Let me see the coward threw that beer bottle. Now, you have to understand, I'm wearing leotards and ballet shoes. It's the 70s, right? So I've got more makeup on than David Bowie.
This is awesome.
And the guy in the very back corner, the guy stands up immediately. I thought I was going to intimidate him. But he goes, "It's me right here." And then I see the bouncers, and the bouncers were legendary in this place. They wouldn't even approach the guy. And they came up to the stage, and once I'd kind of calmed down ever so slightly, or was trying to figure, they said, "Maybe just take a break now." So apparently this was not a guy to be trifled with. And we took a break for about 3 days from playing.
Well, that's a great story. You want to do one more?
Yeah. So that was a big rock star fit in a very small club. Next.
Roll them, James. 4. That'd be D.
Okay.
Oh, this one's not bad. This one's a combination. What is the biggest and smallest tour bus you've ever been on?
Oh, no problem. The biggest tour bus I've ever been on would be the one that we traveled on last night. So it's about a 45-foot Prevost. It's like a rolling 5-star hotel. The smallest one would easily be my bicycle that I rode to a couple of gigs way back when. But I'm telling you, as tour buses go, it was not totally unimpressive. It had some lovely streamers and lights and a couple of saddlebags in the back that could hold my lyrics.
Well, man, you've been a great sport. Let's end it with one more roll of the dice.
Hit me.
All right. What do you got? I can't see it. A 3?
3.
What is... Oh, this is kind of related to... What is the smallest dressing room you've ever had on the road?
Okay. Well, that, of course, would be a porta potty.
Oh, my God. Is that serious?
That can happen. That can happen. I think, I played in England in the night prior to joining STYX. I played in England. I opened a tour in England for the Stranglers. There's a band in England called the Stranglers. Some people may have heard of. During the whole punk movement, they had a lot of notoriety. Anyway, yes, there was. You're always up against it in England for the size. If people that have been there, you know that the buildings are generally quite small. They were built back when the tallest man on earth was probably about 4'5". Definitely had. I do remember a janitor's closet, and and some fine cleaning materials that went back pre-World War II were kind of part of the whole getting ready that night.
I've always said to many people, I said the glamorous side of rock and roll is not always so glamorous.
But the other side of it is really where all the fun stuff, the funny stuff and the stuff that you really have to get over to help get over yourself. But it is funny how you Spinal Tap was more than just a humorous movie. There was a lot of it was very documentary, reality based.
And you reminded me of a good way to final one because you're so famous for your keyboard or your keyboard setup that spins around.
Yeah.
Do you have a name for it? Is there?
I give it silly names. The spinning piano of destiny and all that type of thing.
I like that one.
The one thing I should mention, going back to the beginning of this conversation, is the reason that was built was that you mentioned Alex Lifeson. We did a video for a song called Lost Brotherhood, which is the album we did at Gill's studio. And in that video, Alex steps out of we're in this barn that gets all smoking up and everything. And Alex steps out of the barn and plays this solo. And in an attempt to not have me be stationary throughout the video, that's where the concept of, well, how about if we had the piano spin? So it really wasn't with any intention that it was going to be a live stage thing. But on that day, a bunch of the crew, and then Alex himself came over and said, "Do you use that on stage?" I said, "No, it's brand new. I just made it. We made it for the video." And just the way he kind of looked at it, he kind of was like, And I thought, why don't I try this thing on stage and just see what happens? Well, of course, what happened was the first 2 or 3 shows, I maimed myself terribly. Then I kind of got the hang of it, and it's that very same one that we still use in STYX to this day.
That's awesome.
So
cool.
It's had 27, what would it be that? 27 years it's been with me on the road. Yeah.
Not too shabby, man. Any last thing to say to the STYX fans that are going to be listening to this?
Thank you for keeping this great epic adventure going to this day, and let's keep it going for as long as we can.
Thanks for being a good sport, man. I really enjoyed some of the humor, and I really enjoyed the metalwork stuff. That's something all the interviews we've done in the past I never even knew. So I'm gonna text Gil and tell him I'll say I was talking to this guy that was bad mouthing your studio.
Don't do that.
I wouldn't do that.
It might get lost in translation, but if people look up that studio, the Metalworks, you'd be astounded what a great history it has, and how many artists have been through there. And Prince actually
he did
use the studio extensively. Yeah, he liked it a lot, and tons of others. So yeah, I'm glad that you brought that up, Jeb, and we'll see you soon this year.
You got it, man.
Okay, and thank you, James.
Yeah, thank you too.
See,
and don't remain in the background so much.
I like listening to Jeb. He's a great talker.
Okay, guys.
bye, man.
See ya.
All of the best. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye now.
That was a fun interview.
That was cool.
That ended up being a really fun interview. I loved the biggest rock star fit question.
That was cool.
And the thing with STYX, it is a good show. And I really could have kissed his butt a little bit. And we talked about it before we did it. On stage, Gowan is, DeYoung, those STYX purist arguments, you go back and forth. You know, the one cool thing I've liked about him in the many times we've talked, on and off the record, is he's never bashed Dennis DeYoung.
That's cool.
And you can't say that about some of the other guys in the band. But DeYoung's talked back, in all fairness. And I've never heard DeYoung say anything bad about him either. So I don't know if there's a keyboard respect.
That mutual.
The Mutual Mullet Society. I don't know, because Dennis had a pretty good.
That's true. He did, didn't he?
But no, that was a cool interview, man. And it's the show's only gonna get better though, because coming up here next, James, why don't you just tell the people a little bit about
Nita
this?
Strauss.
And who, pray tell, is she?
Oh man, she's a guitar player for somebody called Alice Cooper.
I've heard of her.
Yeah, me too.
I mean Nita. I mean Nita. No, I mean Alice. You think Alice is hot?
Ain't she?
See, that's why some people don't drink anymore. They laid down with Nita and they woke up with Alice.
Kind of like looking at that Poison album the first time.
Oh, dude, I did it. We should say that if we ever get Poison on it. Let's just say I made a very suggestive comment about a young Bret Michaels that I had no idea I was making.
I did the same.
Bret was the cutest.
Yes.
Although he's no Nita.
No. Not even close.
Now, Nita, of course, has a good run with the tribute band, the Iron Maidens, before. Yes. Gosh, who else is she? She's made some
with Ben Patel.
Yep, and
Jermaine Jackson.
Yeah, Jermaine Jackson. We're gonna have to ask her about that one. And then, of course, Alice she's been there the last few years. Didn't she replace Orianthi?
Yes, she did.
Yeah. I would love to see those two in a duel together. But what we're going to talk to her about, at least initially, is speaking of Orianthi, she's on the album too. It's called She Rocks Volume 1 on Steve Vai's label.
All right, Jeb. We got a couple minutes before Nita gets on the line with us.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So you want to play a little game?
Yeah. We got a lot of stuff we want to try. What do you want to do?
Let's do God, That Sucks. And who do you think we're going to do it on?
Now, wait a minute. Just explain, give an overview of what God, That Sucks means.
It says it's oh my God, really? Well, if you don't know what that is, and you're You shouldn't be listening to us.
Well, yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah, basically, we're going to discuss something that we think sucks.
Taiketo.
Taiketo.
No.
Well, they do suck.
Well, yeah.
But I bet we can do something better.
Let's, what do you think?
Do we want to go with an album or just an entire band?
Let's go with the band.
Okay. I know who I think sucks. Do you got anybody in mind?
Let's see. You say it.
Bon Jovi.
There you go.
God, that sucks.
That sucks.
I'm sorry.
Hey, it does. They ruined the music. That big old poof on hairspray.
I remember.
Aquanet sales probably went up.
Yeah, I bet they bought stock. Maybe
sure.
they created it.
Maybe that's how they
there
got
was
rich.
enough. They said, hey,
Yeah.
we could get this poofy-headed little New Jersey pipsqueak out there.
His hair way more than he did.
Oh, man, I'm telling you. I remember going. This is a true story. You were there. I mean, we didn't know each other then, but we've talked about it. Wichita, Kansas Coliseum. I think it was the Love at First Thing tour by the Scorpions.
Yes, it was.
And I remember going there. I had actually asked my wife to that concert, and she told me no. This was before we dated. We ever did. I asked her out. She turned me down. So I had to take another girl, my friend and his girlfriend, and we went there. And, of course, they were, there weren't a lot of girls at a Scorpions concert. I remember the lights went down, and he came out, and they were doing that little runaway. Dee, 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 dee.
Yeah.
And all the rockers were like,
what the hell?
yeah. And at the end of the song, you heard this high-pitched little, yay!
Yeah.
And I was like, we're screwed, man. And so it begun. But, I mean,
Yes.
I know he sold...
Billions of albums.
Yeah,
and
you
all
hear
that
this,
stuff,
if he sucks so bad, I bet he's really upset because he's so rich.
Whatever.
Let me tell you, you know the sound I could never hear again for the rest of my life and be happy?
Bon Jovi. They kind of ruined the talking guitar, didn't they?
Yeah, if you can ruin the talk box,
Yes.
you suck.
No Frampton.
He's no Frampton. That's kind of funny in itself. Frampton was cool at one time, for the
Yes.
record. What is it, though? Let's just be for real. What is it that makes Bon Jovi suck the most?
God,
Is it
there's
his
so
looks?
much.
Is it his... The guy, I give him this. He could sing. He
Yes.
can write a hook. He can write a song.
Oh, you mean Aldo Nova can write a song?
Did Aldo Nova write some of that stuff?
Yeah.
No way.
Him and Bon Jovi wrote a lot of that stuff together.
I'm so disappointed in Aldo. Honesty time.
Okay.
Did you ever buy a Bon Jovi album?
I did.
Which one?
Slippery When Wet.
Oh, the big one.
Yeah. That was back then. MTV was everywhere, and the videos was everywhere, and, they were catchy. But, catchy killed the music.
It did, though. That's my whole thing with Bon Jovi was it took hard rock. And I mean, to put it all aside, when I say it sucks, what I'm talking about is this. I'm not even talking about talent or that if he can sing or not. He can.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, he can. He is a very handsome man.
Oh, God.
Well, he is.
Just don't say he's wearing red panties from Target.
Well, there might be pictures.
would know.
Yeah, there might be some pictures on the internet.
Oh, God.
But the fact is, you nailed it. It is, yeah, you nailed him. That was,
You nailed him.
the fact is, you nailed it when you said it killed the music. It wasn't the same, man. He
No.
started to change to where metal and hard rock was becoming pop.
Yeah. It became more of a glam show. Oh, no. 2 minutes up already?
Yeah, we were going to do this for 2 minutes, and Bon Jovi sucks so bad, I think we... Oh, God, we're at 4 minutes.
God.
Bon Jovi sucks so bad that we doubled our segments.
There you go. That really sucks.
And I'd love to end this segment by smashing a Bon Jovi album, but I don't have one.
You gotta have something.
Hey, don't you take a chance off my Go-Go's record, man.
They all look the same.
All right. I dare you to ask Nita if she thinks Bon Jovi sucks.
I'll ask her that.
Okay, you heard
We
it
just
here.
played a segment. I'll tell her that was.
Okay, we're gonna see if James has any balls or if he's just like Bon Jovi.
Oh,
All right, for the record, Bon Jovi
sucks.
This is Jeb.
Hey, Jeb. Nita Strauss calling.
Hey, what's going on? I am so glad you called because this is going to be a great interview. I have enjoyed your career. I'm a big Iron Maiden fan. I'm a huge Alice Cooper fan. I'm a huge Steve Vai fan, and your guitar playing is just awesome. So I'm looking really forward to talking about this album.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm excited too. And I want to apologize. I got stuck in some traffic, so I'm actually still in the car. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah. So far, you sound better than a lot of the guys that call in.
All right, perfect.
Hey, I want to let you know what we've got is Classic Rock Revisited. I've been around since 1999, and we've recently decided to join the modern day, and we've started a sister company called the Rock Brigade Podcast that's going to be all tied together. And I've got a partner, and he's here, and his name's James Rozell. So I'm going to let you say hi to him.
Hey, Nina.
Hey, James.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. Just trying to fight off the Namfrog.
I bet.
Well, what I'd like to do, if it's okay with you, is just let's just jump in and talk about this Favored Nation album, She Rocks Volume 1. I like Volume 1 because that hints at something.
Exactly. That's how I feel about it, too. You know, it's really, really exciting to be a part of the first, what I hope to be and what I consider to be the first installment of this She Rocks album. It's a really talented group of women, and just showcasing really the showmanship and the virtuosity of what female guitar players are doing these days. And I love that you mentioned that it's Volume 1 because I try to always mention that too, because I think there's so many great talents that didn't make it onto this one that definitely deserve to be out there getting that same recognition.
Now, I know you've known Steve for some time. Actually, hold on. I forgot I had to do this. I got to get my cell phone. I actually, when I wrote my review, I texted Steve to tell him, send him a link so he could read it.
Uh-huh.
And he liked it. Of course, I had it all ready to go, and I don't now. I could be a rock star, man. Okay, he said, these are his words. Tell Nita I said thanks for all the kind words in the press. She is absolutely kicking ass. And that's kicking with just an N. Kicking ass, man.
Cool.
So, yeah. But I think he gets what I got, And what my question was how involved were you in this? I mean, was it just like, hey, Nita, I want you to be on a track? Or how did the whole thing work?
It was really, my contribution to the album really was just the track. I wasn't involved in anybody else's, production of their stuff. It actually came about, I met Steve for the first time actually just last year.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, I started playing guitar at 13 after seeing a video of Steve, and, he's been my biggest inspiration throughout my career, but actually, yeah, I just met him for the first time at the Generation X tour last year.
That's
and
cool.
The first time I met him, the very first words we spoke to each other, he said, I'm putting together this compilation album alongside Brad Zielinski. Has he asked you about it yet? And I said, no, not yet. He said, well, I'll make sure that he does. And then the next thing I knew that I had an email asking me to participate in the album. So it was really just a surreal moment. It's definitely a dream come true.
Now, was this, that had to be cool then for you. Because, you've done it, of course, yourself, and I've done it doing this job for a long time. Most people, as you get to do interviews and as you play with people, you quickly realize people are people. They just do different, some do extraordinary things, some do different things. And the star side kind of can go away a little bit, where you admire them, but you're not nervous so much. But when I would think somebody like Steve, were you was there a little bit of that fandom going on where it was like, oh shit?
Oh, totally. Totally. Yeah. Yeah, no, my boyfriend said it. He's never seen me so quiet. No, it definitely, and honestly for me, it doesn't really go away. I've been playing with Alex 3 years now, almost, and it still feels very surreal, to be doing these festivals and thinking about the great guitar players that have, been next to Alex on stage before me, and getting to meet these people and talk to people. I said this morning after talking with Steve yesterday at NAMM and also talking with Marty Friedman yesterday at NAMM, I told Josh, my boyfriend, I said, anybody that said that you should never meet your heroes has never met my heroes. My heroes are amazing.
Yeah, Steve, my son, and he's our sound engineer, and he's 24, but he's a guitarist, and I got to take him to meet Steve, and it's really cool when you can do that, and the person is not only a good person, but actually a genuine person.
Absolutely.
Now, I'm going to break off the subject. You brought him up. I've interviewed Alice a few times too, and that's one thing you quickly learn when you get Alice away from the stage is what a nice man he is.
Oh, absolutely. Nicest guy in rock and roll.
Yeah.
Yes, he is.
Now, talking about She Rocks Volume 1, talk about your song, Pandemonium is what it's called, right?
Yes, that's right, Pandemonium.
Now, did you write that specifically for this, or was it one that you went back and said, I got to pick one? I mean, how big a backlog do you keep?
No, actually, I wrote that for this
That's
project.
cool.
Yes, it is.
I've always been a huge fan of instrumental guitar music, and I've been approached a few times about doing an instrumental record, and I never thought that I was ready as a player to do it. You know, I'm such a fan, and I would want it to be so good. And I always thought, I'm not ready. I'm not there yet. You know, like when I'm there, then I'll do it. But then when Steve said this, you know, I had to step up to the plate, and I'm so grateful that he did, because now I see that I have the ability to do it. Now I feel much more confident that I can write more material like that.
Do you see this album as a guitarist statement or a female guitarist statement?
I think it's a guitarist statement in
Me
general.
too.
You know, because anything I do, I consider to be a guitarist statement. You know, like I might as well say it's a blonde statement, and then everybody can put me in a category with Jeff Loomis and Doug Aldrich. Like, this is blonde guitar players, girl guitar players. This is guitar players from Los Angeles.
That's awesome.
Guitar players and guitar players.
I said that kind of in my review, and Steve, I think that's what I liked about it. I was like, hey, you know, I get, and I wanted to be real clear on something too, and I'll tell you to you, is these things can from afar appear sometimes as like, oh God, it's a novelty, you know, it's a little thing.
It's fiction, yeah.
And
I think it would be more of a novelty if the playing on the record and the musicianship wasn't so excellent.
Agreed.
You have players like, you know, like Neely Brosh, who plays with Tony McAlpine, and Scratching Men, and you've got young, like Sarah Longfield, like, and the greatest of us all, Jennifer Batten. Like, you know, you get these people on one record. It's not really like it's all female guitar players, but to me, it doesn't feel like a chick thing. It's just a cool album.
Me and James were talking earlier, and you mentioned it. So even though you just met him, Crossroads, I mean, I think I read that in an old interview about you one time. That really, honestly, spoke to you? I mean, it wasn't really inspired you to go farther?
Literally, that is the reason why I'm talking to you on the phone today.
No way.
Wow.
Oh, totally. Yeah. Totally. And not the whole movie, obviously, just
Right.
the parts that.
It wasn't Ralph Macchio.
It wasn't, yeah. Well, you know, you take a movie like that, and the protagonist doesn't really inspire a lot of people. You know, it's a movie about a young guitar player finding his way in the world, like we all are at some point in our careers. And that's not the part that speaks to people. I'm sure there are people out there that see the telly and they buy it in the window because it looks beat up, but that was never me. I was the shiny red guitar at the end.
So is it true that your first band was a death metal band?
Yes, it's true.
You got to be kidding me.
No, not at all. I actually still listen to a lot of that kind of music to this day.
Whoa. But you were like really young, weren't you?
I was 13.
13.
Cool.
There's a part of me, though, because I'm from the Midwest and we're tame here. And you think,
That is not true at all. There's plenty of great death metal bands that have come out of the Midwest. I don't know it off the top of my head, but I know it for a fact.
Well, I mean, I think, oh my God, she looks like she's such a sweet woman. Or, you know, you must have been a little adorable 13-year-old. And I think she was in a death metal band.
I am sweet. I am nice, but I also like heavy metal.
Oh, no, I love metal. But it caught me when I read that your first band was a death metal band. I thought, whoa.
Oh, totally. If you look me up on YouTube, you can find plenty of videos of me playing with death metal bands. All the way up until I think the last death metal type tour I did was in 2010.
Man, no kidding. Now I knew you were diverse, but I did not know the depths were that diverse.
Oh yeah, I went straight off of a death metal tour into the Jermaine Jackson tour, and then back to the death metal.
I don't even know how to ask a question that would follow that. I mean, wow. One thing's apparent, and I want you to be able to be honest about this. Just from reading your backstory alone, if I'd never heard a note that you played, you have a love of music. It's amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, I do. I love music. I love playing guitar. And I don't know what I would be doing if I didn't, you always think as a guitar player, what if I get in a car accident and I break my hand? Like, what would I do? I don't do anything else. I don't know what I would do. It's just what I feel like I was put on this planet to do, is play guitar. And I'm thankful that I just get to do that and only that.
When did you, this is weird, maybe a weird question, but when did you know you were better than most?
I don't think I am.
Oh, come on.
I think really what sets a guitar player apart these days isn't so much technique and ability, but you have to be more of a total package these days, and it's not just about the look, it's not just about just the technique, it's not just about the stage presence, but you also have to be, you have to be punctual. You have to be the first one there and the last one to leave. You have to be respectful. You have to, make sure that you ask the right questions. Make sure that you are well versed in the material that you're playing. So I think really, like, I can't the fact of me being a better musician than anybody else out there, but I can definitely speak to the fact that in my time as a professional guitar player, I've learned a thing or two about being a professional guitar player, and I think that recently I've realized what a novelty that is.
And this is met with the utmost respect, and I think you can tell I will mean this, but it's kind of maybe a touchy subject for some. You're an attractive female hard rocking guitar player. Is being the female and attractive actually a detriment sometimes?
Oh, well, thank you.
I mean, I think you know what I'm trying to say.
Oh, I know exactly what you're trying to say. I think it's a hard question to answer. The short answer, yes. Long answer, sometimes. But anybody that's that's in an industry that's not typically what you think they'd be doing is going to be met with a certain measure of skepticism. I would feel kind of the same if I saw a hot girl who was a brain surgeon. I'd be like, really? She's a brain surgeon? Where'd you go to school? But it doesn't mean that she can't be a perfectly competent brain surgeon. I just wouldn't expect it. So
yeah.
My whole outlook on this, on the whole process of, being a guitar player that people wouldn't expect to be a guitar player is I feel like I set the bar really high for myself just to make sure that I always deliver the best that I can, and I never try to bank on the chick thing. I always make sure that I give the best performance that I can. I play with the highest technique that I can. And I practice my ass off, and I put on the best show that I can. So people might say that I only work a lot because I'm a girl, and they're like looking at me. But hopefully, once they see or hear me play, that they'll realize that that's not the case. Yeah,
that's a great answer. When you talked about instrumental guitar creativity, Steve Vai does own that label. So this was a pretty good opportunity. I'm hoping maybe if you start writing that way, maybe you've got somebody that could give you a deal.
Yeah, I've actually, Favor Nation was the first company. It wasn't Steve directly, it was somebody else at the label. They were the first ones to approach me about doing a solo instrumental record. This was about 6 years ago. And at the time, I was just not in the place to do it. But it's definitely be a good home if that day ever does come. So
are your instrumental guys the famous ones, like Tony McAlpine, like Yngwie?
Oh, totally. I mean, I love the mainstream ones. Actually, I just did a jam with Tony a couple of days ago, and that was incredible. But yeah, of course, Tony McAlpine, Yngwie,
Steve,
Satriani, Steve Vai, Jason Becker, Marty Friedman, and then I like a lot of the lesser known guys too. I was just listening to some Impellitteri the other day, Jan Surka. There's so many great players out there, and that's kind of like why I say at this point in music, technique is so out there. There's so many phenomenal guitar players that can play all this incredible technique stuff. That's why you have to have more than just technique to be out there and be a pro these days.
But how do you balance that? Because sometimes the technique guys are so good to watch, but when you're driving in your car on a sunny day and you want the top down, I mean, maybe you'd rather have, Van Halen 2 on, you know what I mean?
I was going to say Van Halen, because that's exactly the Italian album stuff too. Yeah, you probably want to listen to some Van Halen.
Sure, yeah.
I just think it's about personality and showmanship, because Vai has technique like no one you've ever heard, and Satriani as well. But you can listen to something, if I'm driving in the car with the top down, I'll put on Summer Song any day.
Yep.
And that really shows a song like Summer Song, or I Would Love To, one of these songs, it really is, that showcases that you can have that virtuosity and still make songs people want to listen to driving down PCH with the top down.
Now I want to hit a couple on one or two more on the instrumental album, and then if you would humor me, I'm a big Iron Maiden fan. I got to hear a little story about the Iron Maidens if that's cool. But anyway,
one at a time.
Yeah, one at a time. one of the things, and certainly you named everyone on the album, so you didn't just give your track and not listen to the thing. One of the things I enjoy about this Favored Nations label is it's not all just shredders. I think that's important for people to know their list is. There's almost new agey stuff. There's some jazz. There's like, I wish I had her name in front of me. It's almost, she's kind of like, wow, man, she must have listened to a lot of Pat Metheny or something, you know?
It's probably Yvette Young.
Yeah.
I saw her at NAMM yesterday. She's a Hamburg player. Like, she's really phenomenal. Like, I see stuff like that, and I go, man, like, I think I'm a diverse player, and then I see people like that play, and I go, I should probably learn some more tricks.
That's one of the beauties of the album, though. That's kind of what I was getting at. And I think that really lends it where Volume 1 could be, man, it's not just the people, it's the styles. You could do anything with this format moving ahead.
Absolutely.
Would you, have they even talked about Volume 2 yet?
Not to me, but, you know, it just came out yesterday, so I think...
That's true.
I think it's I'm sure it's coming, but I think it's not really, like, going to be, like, this week.
The cool thing would have been done, and maybe by 2, if this is a financial success and able to do it, NAMM would be the perfect place for Favored Nations to, like, could you just imagine like the Bonzo Bass, except have this be it?
Oh yeah, well that idea's been thrown around a lot. Like, you know, doing like a female G3 or
that's cool.
You know, a couple shows here and there. You know, and my manager's been talking about putting something together. We've talked to a couple of the other girls who have been on the album's management about doing it. It's just really the issue is everybody's touring schedule, putting something like that together, and especially mine because we work so much. Alice works so much, and then I have guitar clinics and all that good stuff. Well, now it's off, so it's just hard to get everyone's schedule together. But as a passion project, it would be a really, really cool thing to do. Oh,
without a doubt. Yes. Now I will, since we're doing one at a time. I tend to talk fast, so bear with me, please. I'm a huge Iron Maiden fan. That was my era that I grew up in, and when of course the Maidens came out, I knew them from afar. But the more I heard, and of course with social media, you can watch now. That is it. When you were in there, you played Dave Murray.
Yeah.
And that was an incredible. It was a tribute. It was almost more than a tribute band. It was just a cool way to do it.
Well, that band take the tribute very seriously, I will say.
You walked into that though. Did you? I mean, was that? Did you consider that kind of like a stepping stone, or did you think, I'm going to jump in here because this is music I love? I mean, what was your thought process?
You know what's funny? I actually turned it down about a year before I started playing with them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I turned it down because I didn't really want to do a tribute band. I've always had my own music, and I didn't really have any interest in playing covers. And then they approached me about it, and, the other reason I turned it down was they approached me about it, and I said, well, can I be Adrian? And they said no, and I said pass. And then, fast forward a year or so, or 6 or 8 months later, Courtney and I had become great friends. Who, Courtney, of course, is Adrian in the band now.
Yep.
And she asked me if I would fill in for a couple shows, and next thing I knew, I was in the band, touring the world, and having a great time. Was
that your first experience with that intensive touring?
No, I've been touring since I was 15. So
gosh,
I would say that actually, the Maiden touring is really different than most bands because they don't do any long runs.
Oh.
It's really like, probably, I think since I left the band, I think they've done more. But when I was with them, which was 2011 to 2015 or 2014, it was really just like 10 days at the most, and most of the times it was a weekend. We would go out on Friday and come back on Sunday, or go out on Thursday and come back on Sunday.
Oh, that's not bad.
Oh yeah, and then every once in a while we'd go to South America, but it was never more than 10 days or 2 weeks.
Now, are you a Maiden fan?
Yeah, I wasn't into Maiden until way later in my life. It's funny, because I'm so known for doing the Maiden stuff, and I just did one of those 10 albums that influenced you as a teenager on Facebook that everybody was doing.
Right, I remember that. I did one.
Yeah, and I didn't put any Maiden on it. I didn't Maiden until way later in my life. I was a thrash and metal kid, and I didn't really even listen to very much stuff with singing. I liked instrumental music and metal music. And it was so unfathomable to people that I could have gotten into Iron Maiden later in my life. But yeah, Maiden was something I got into in my 20s.
So we do a thing. Do you have a minute?
Yeah.
Okay, we do a little thing here that makes it a little bit different. And we had a thing we wanted to ask you to do at Maiden where it's called a best, worst, and underrated.
Okay.
And we just, the three of us, kind of take a minute and decide what's the best, worst, and underrated albums Maiden had ever had done. So I would just put you on the spot and start with the best. What do you think is their best moment?
I mean, for me, it's Seventh Son of the Seventh Son.
Really? I would love that album, but that's an interesting choice.
It's, Killers is great, but Seventh Son is the one.
What about you, James?
Mine would have to be Number of the Beast. That's my first one I bought.
That was your first one?
That was my first one.
With me, it's always a trick. I'm such a popular guy with Maiden. It was their popular... Peace of Mind and Number of the Beast. It depends on the mood I'm in, but probably I would agree with James. And we're older school, and I'd go Number of the Beast too. Now the bad one is everybody has albums that aren't as good. James, what do you think is the worst Maiden moment?
That was hard.
Can I go?
Sure.
Yeah.
X Factor.
I agree.
Yeah.
The Blaze.
Yes.
What, Nita? Just and not to be mean, but what was it? Do you think it was Bruce that was missing out of there?
I just don't think the songs are that catchy.
True.
Lord of the Flies. I just didn't like it. I wasn't into it.
Yeah.
Same here.
Yeah.
And are we easy to agree on that one?
Yes, we are.
Yeah, I think so. It's kind of neat when it's that big. To me, underrated is where it gets fun because I like the Di'Anno years, and I think Iron Maiden, maybe their most underrated album.
I don't really consider that one, my own opinion. I don't really find that one to be underrated because I think a lot of people think pretty highly of that album.
See, mine would be Killers.
That's it. See, I think maybe it's because of the age I am. When I bought Iron Maiden, I remember going up to the record store counter. It was a record, and I'd never heard of him. And it was 1980. And I said, "What kind of music is this?" And the guy had like a Jethro Tull shirt on, and he was kind of snooty. And he goes, "Kid, it's heavy metal." And I had bought a Grateful Dead album off the cover like a week before. Not that I have anything against the Dead, but I did when I was 14. And it had skulls and stuff, and I took it home, and it was hippie music. So I was making sure that Maiden album rocked. I think it's maybe my perspective that I still, even though over the years it's been very well accepted, back then nobody even knew what it was.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Now, which one did you say, or did you?
For me, I think the most, in my opinion, I think the most criminally underrated is Fear of the Dark.
Oh.
Yeah.
People get so into the older stuff.
Yep.
And the X Factor kills everything so much. And a lot of people don't give the newer stuff a chance. And, when you think about not just the great song Fear of the Dark, when you think about Judas Be My Guide and Be Quick or Be Dead,
that's a good song.
Great songs on that album that, people don't think of Fear of the Dark album as good of an album as it is, let me say.
And what do you think, James?
I agree with her.
Fear of the Dark,
good,
yeah. Well, we disagree with you on the best. You're sticking. I can tell. There's no convincing her any different. She's sticking with Seventh Son, and we're going with the Beast. And we all agreed though on the Blaze years.
Yeah.
And then underrated was pretty cool, but I think maybe I'll agree with you guys because I did just base that off my own personal opinion and not the reality of the situation. Fear of the Dark.
Yeah.
Now, before you go, I got to hit you up on the Coop, man. James is I thought I was a big Alice Cooper fan. He's like the world's biggest Alice Cooper fan.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I actually talked to you in Oklahoma City. We were outside and we was talking about, I had a set list from Wichita. And we actually had some guy that kept butting in, and I thought he was going to beat his ass there for a little bit.
Me?
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, it was. But we was having a pretty good talk about the set list and everything.
I think he was the overzealous guy wanting you to sign like 900 things.
Yeah, you kept telling him, I didn't even play on that album.
Yeah, I try not to sign stuff I don't play on because I think about if I had an album that that meant a lot to me, or if I was buying an album and then I looked at it and somebody scribbled and it didn't play on it, it's just I would think it was silly,
I do too.
Yeah.
I don't know why anybody would want me to sign an album I didn't play on. It doesn't make sense to me.
I don't get it either.
Can I ask you a kind of a silly Alice Cooper question?
Sure.
Have you got his autograph?
I do have his autograph.
That's awesome.
I do have his autograph. I have, I'm trying to think what cool Alice stuff I have. The coolest thing I have is actually my boyfriend, so it's up in our house. I have an autographed picture of Alice and Jake the Snake Roberts from WrestleMania 3.
Wow.
So technically that's Josh's, not mine, but that's the coolest Alice autograph that's in our house.
So you haven't gone up to him and said, "Hey, boss, will you sign this?"
No. Our production assistant did that one time. She gave us 4 posters, which Alice had signed, and we thought it was the funniest thing. We basically laughed her out of the room. We said, what do we want this for? You know, you're Nita, your pal, Alice Cooper. I can't believe you know, so that was a funny moment. I think she felt bad. She was trying to do something nice, and we laughed at her.
That would shut it down right there.
Yeah.
In all
guys, I got all your posters signed.
What was how did the opportunity come for you to do that? Because I love the show with you. Now, I mean, of course, you had Orianthi in there before you.
Yes.
And then was it just her exiting and you got the opportunity? Was it that simple?
It was really that simple, yeah. She left the band. I think they were kind of scrambling to find a replacement. They put the word out. And Kip Winger, who used to play in the Office band, I was playing with a band called Femme Fatale. We had just played a show with Winger. And Kip and I had exchanged information at that show. And he called me up and said, look, they're looking for somebody. And I said, my schedule just opened completely up.
Wow.
No way.
That's cool.
Now, I'll ask you the same question. Were you age-wise, you're a little young to be a big Coop fan. I mean, were you a Coop fan?
I mean, I'm a guitar fan.
Okay.
I'm a guitar fan and a guitar player's fan. So while I can't, I'm never going to talk to, big Alice Cooper fan and say, oh my God, Welcome to My Nightmare was the album that changed my life. I certainly have appreciated over the years all the amazing guitar players he's had in his band, and Al Pitrelli and Brett Beach, I think even, and and Kane, who I just heard from actually a couple of days ago, and so just to stand on that stage and be a part of that legacy is really incredible.
Do you go back as far and appreciate the guys like Michael Bruce and Buxton and even the Wag?
I've gained a lot more of an appreciation for their playing since I've been in the band, actually, because the stuff is deceptively simple. It really is. It's not as simple as it sounds, let's say.
I'm in total agreement with you on that. And it's one of those things that's hard, Nita. It's not hard, but it's not easy.
Exactly.
And you do it great.
Well, let's say it's easy once you know it. It's not like it's anything complex to play. Like once you learn it, it's real easy. But it's just not as simple as it sounds on first listen on the record. And
being a guitar lover, from what you said too, it's not, and you even said the greatest thing, that it's not all technique. There's something still to be said for songwriting. And even though, let me put it this way, some of those old Alice Cooper songs are real easy to play wrong.
Oh, yes, they are.
That's neat. So what's up now with you? Let's kind of get to that point. You got the one solo. I know you're going to want to hope for this instrumental album. But what's up with Cooper? More touring? Will there be recording? What's the plan for 2017?
Yes. So the She Rocks album just came out. We just released the music video for that a couple days ago for Pandemonium.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so that's my boyfriend Josh playing drums and me playing guitar, and then so that's out, and I'm working with a really amazing group of girls putting together my own music, putting together my solo project. So that's, I wouldn't call it a solo project so much as an original project, putting together a band, writing some music, and then hitting the road with Alice again in April.
And I think that's where we're planning on covering a show down there too.
Down in Tulsa.
Okay.
Yeah, Tulsa. You're going to come through. Are they playing?
Are we at the BOK Center again?
No, you're at
Are they at
Brady Theater.
Oh, the Brady. I love the Brady.
That's what I meant. That's not BOK. We were there with crew, but the Brady.
Yeah.
But it's right by the BOK Center.
That's it.
Right?
Yep.
I remember that so clearly because haven't we played there a lot?
Yep.
The last couple of years? I think it's been the third time in 3 years.
He hits Tulsa a lot.
I just remember driving past. If I remember correctly, we started the tour there last year or 2 years ago. we kicked off a tour there, and I remember driving past the BOK Center, and I was like, oh, there's the gig. They're like, no, that's not the gig. That was the gig last time. Now it's down the street.
But the cool thing, and the last time I think I saw probably was that show, and the time before that, though, Jeff Beck came through there and he played. It's a beautiful old theater.
Yeah.
It really is. You know, they have a knack for picking really pretty places a lot of the time, which is very cool.
Yeah.
Well, we will be around to promote anything you need. And
Thank you so much.
yeah, and hopefully when the tour comes around, we'll come down there to cover it. And if you're around, I'd love to thank you in person for doing this.
That sounds great. Thank you so much.
Anything else?
I think we're good. You can always just check out what I'm doing on nitastrauss.com, Facebook.com/Nita Strauss, Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat, Hurricane Nita.
Well, you got it down.
Yeah.
Well, I spent all day yesterday at NAMM, so.
Well, thank you again, man. This has been a real pleasure, and I was already a fan of your music, but learning about your attitudes, and this is a lifelong pursuit since age 13. That makes me really respect it even more.
Thank you so much, Deb. I really appreciate that. Thank you guys for having me on.
You got it.
Yep.
Have a good one.
Okay. Talk to you
Bye.
later.
Sounds good. Bye.
Bye.
She was far too sweet.
I know.
Dun, dun, dun.
The jig is up. The
News is out. All right, man. That was a cool interview.
That was an amazing show.
What did you think about Nita? I mean, we just hung up the phone there.
Geez, she's a very smart and amazing lady.
Can I make a confession?
Sure, go ahead.
I really wanted to kind of maybe give her a little crap a little bit, or maybe have a little fun, but she was such a serious.
She was so
not
nice.
serious.
She was
That's
nice.
She's nice. She's smart. She's articulate. These are not things that you think about heavy metal guitar players.
No.
You know, it just goes to show we
Yeah.
should not live by our preconceived
Yeah,
notions.
there you go.
What an amazing. She's an amazing woman.
Yes, she was.
So, By Shell and Bang didn't happen this
that
week.
didn't happen this week. Well, maybe next week.
But I tell you, I might buy that album she's got. But yeah, what a cool show, man. It was the interviews were a little longer. We had 3 guests last time. We only had 2 this time, but that's they were great interviews,
Yes,
man.
they were.
Gowan's the same, where I have a little more respect. I shouldn't say more respect for Nita, but I have a
Added
deepening
respect.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. I kind of have that same kind of like for Lawrence Gowan. I thought he was what a down to earth guy. I mean, even though his solo career maybe didn't make it here, he was #1 in Canada. He's had this last decade and a half or whatever with STYX.
And he is a shoplifter, so.
Yeah, we know he's very down to earth. He's just like the people we know. He steals things. He throws temper tantrums. Most important though, he laughs, man. That's what I like. He's a real person, and I think that's what we strive for here. And before we go, we're going to say it again though. Go to Facebook. Search the Rock Brigade. Go to YouTube. It's called the Rock Brigade Podcast. Of course, we can save you some time. Go to Facebook.
And it'll take you straight to it.
Yeah, it'll take you straight to it. You can also go to my company, ClassicRockRevisited.com, and it's right on the front page. Plus, we've got the first episode already there. Now we'll have the second episode there. We're going to have some... tell them about our in-between shows. That's one thing that's new.
Yeah, we're going to be throwing a few shows in between at you. That'll be bonus shows. We're going to try to do those midweek. So stay tuned. Listen for those.
It'll be, they may not, I think what the plan is, we'll have more of these involved shows with multiple guests and games and things like that. But to keep you engaged and in tune, we're going to have some artist interviews that they may not, it won't be as long as segments, but they'll be bite-sized shows, man. But like we're going to have Jack Russell at Great White. We kind of teased about that at the end of episode 1. We're still learning as we're going, but we're going to make him a bonus interview because his new album's coming out, and we want to get that going. Yeah. But we're loving this, man. We hope you're loving it. Again, I'm going to just beat it like a dead horse, or I'm going to beat it worse than a terrible Bon Jovi album.
Yeah, no joke.
We need your support. We're not the Rock Brigade.
No, you guys are.
So we want to make, you guys may think I'm kidding. James may even laugh at me and call me names as he likes to do. He's always waiting till it's off the air, though. I wish he'd start abusing me more on the air.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah. Well, I guess I get the panty cracks.
You do.
we want to build this up, man. Kind of if I had to, kind of a KISS army, like a Deadhead Nation, things like that. We want to find the rockers that are out there because we need to unify and we need to support each other. And we want to bring you the news. We want to bring you the interviews, and we want you to be a part of this, man.
Yes, definitely. You guys like we said, go to Facebook, look up the Rock Brigade. Give us feedback. Hopefully soon we're going to be able to talk to some of you guys. We're going to try to do different episodes and different things.
Go to Facebook.
It's
the Rock Brigade.
Yep. Like us, share the hell out of us.
And let's do something fun and do something good and celebrate the rock and roll that we all love.
Yes. So for now, keep rocking.
See you on episode 3.
See ya.